All right, well, welcome everyone. This is the first in a series of webinars in what we're calling the 5 for 5. These are sponsored by the NSF ATE, InnovATEBIO, National Biotechnology Education Center. And so this is the first of 5 of those webinars that we'll be sponsoring. Just as a quick introduction, my name is Jim Hewlett. I'm a co-PI on the center grant, and we'll be facilitating these webinars. Like I said, this is the first one, so thanks for joining us. The series is designed to feature 5 ATE projects in each webinar. It'll all be around a central theme. So for today, it's biomanufacturing, advanced manufacturing, and biomanufacturing education. And the idea is that we would feature 4 projects that are within the biotechnology discipline, close to it, and then one that maybe is either on the edge of biotechnology or maybe even in a totally other discipline, but has a similar goal or outcome with respect to what they're trying to accomplish with their actual grant. So that's sort of how these things are set up. So you're going to hear from 5 people, 5 minutes each, with 5 minutes in between for questions. If you have a question, you can use the chat feature. What I'll do is I'll monitor that, and then in between each presentation, I'll push those questions out to our presenters on behalf of the participants. The goal of the 5 for 5, there's actually 3. One is to basically just allow ATE projects to have a platform to sort of share their work and the great stuff that they're doing, and so that the community can sort of learn from what's happening within this program of NSF. And then the other 2 have to do with collaborations. Could we identify ways that the presenters can find opportunities for them to get together and collaborate on parts of their project, but also for the participants to have an opportunity to reach out to the presenters because they may have similar goals, or may have future goals that they want to address that deal in the theme. Like today, like I said, it's in manufacturing. So once again, what I'll do is I will, in between each presentation, we'll have a little bit of time for Q&A. I'll monitor that. I'm going to let the presenters introduce themselves, and then they're going to sort of feature their projects. And so if everyone can make sure that you are remain on mute, that would be great. And then just open up your chat feature and fire away with questions. So that's enough from me. I'm going to turn it over to our first presenter, Leslie Eisenhower.
Good afternoon. This is Leslie Eisenhower, the former PI of a BioBlend grant.
Hello, this is Leslie Eisenhower.
My apologies about that. We did not have that issue when we did the tech check. One moment.
Hello, this is Leslie Eisenhower, the former principal investigator and biotechnology training consultant at Johnston Community College, and this is our project, BioBlend. What is BioBlend? Well, our official title is Integrating Biotechnology and Applied Engineering to Meet Emerging Advanced Technological Workforce Needs. This grant was given to us through the New to ATE program. It was approximately $283,000. BioBlend integrates our associate's degree programs in biotechnology and applied engineering. Our objectives for our BioBlend project are 3-part. The first, create and implement a unique curriculum certificate that integrates bioprocess technology and applied engineering. Number 2, we want to create a multi-skilled talent pipeline from college to industry, and these are our students. And number 3, we want to provide hands-on education in a simulated drug manufacturing environment. In our Bioprocess Technology degree program, we have 2 classes that are impacted by this grant: BPM 110, Bioprocess Practices, and PTC 110, Industrial Environment. Students can take these 2 courses, and when they do, they'll get a BioWorks certificate, which is a North Carolina credential. The other classes that will be impacted by this grant are under the Applied Engineering program. This is MNT 110, Introduction to Maintenance, and ELC 117, Motors and Controllers. To create our talented and skilled pipeline of students to industry, the grant funded a career coach position. This career coach helps our students by providing resume development, working with them on their interviewing skills, and helping us facilitate our job shadowing and internship opportunities. Julie Griffin, who was hired as our career coach, will also coordinate our job fair in the final semester. The final objective of BioBlend is to train students to use Delta V. Delta V is a distributed control system that operates drug manufacturing equipment. Industry tells us that students need to understand the software. And up until now, Delta V has not been designed for educational use at different organizations. A part of this grant will provide the licensing for that opportunity. The benefits to our students is that they will gain better mechanical and aseptic technique skills. Our applied engineering students will get a biotech certificate. All of our students will have an opportunity to interview for employment at Grifols or Novo Nordisk. Students will gain the Delta V certification. Also, students will participate in a 48-hour internship, and there is no extra cost to our students. The overall project goal of BioBlend wouldn't be able to happen without the support of Grifols Therapeutics and Novo Nordisk, located both in Clayton, North Carolina. The next thing you will see is a video that explains BioBlend with several of our key players. This concludes the slideshow. Brian Worley is our new principal investigator, Julie Griffin is our career coach, and I am Leslie Eisenhower, former principal investigator and biotechnology training consultant. Please email us should you have any questions. Thank you.
So Heather, are you playing? Is that video?
Yes, I'm bringing up the video now.
Okay, just want to make sure.
I'm Brian Worley, Department Chair of the Advanced Technology Center here at Johnston Community College. I'm the Principal Investigator for the Integrated Biotechnology and Applied Engineering to meet emerging advanced technology workforce needs, also known as BioBlend.
Hey, I'm Maxie Kirby, the Applied Engineering Technology Instructor at Johnston Community College. Bio students who take motors and controls will benefit by learning basic electronics, sensors, motor controls, and motors. How the control system works, how to wire the control system, and how to troubleshoot problems when they arise. Some learning outcomes from Intro to Maintenance include proper use and selection of hand tools, proper use and selection of fasteners, and aligning mechanical drive systems.
Hi, I'm Leslie Eisenhower. I am an instructor here at Johnston Community College in the Biotechnology department. The role of the BioBlend Career Coach is to work alongside our students from the very beginning when they decide that BioBlend is the right fit for them. Delta V is one of the cornerstones of the BioBlend project. Delta V is a distributed control system that acts as the brain that controls equipment you would find on the drug manufacturing floor. The benefits of our students taking Delta V is that they will get the understanding of what it's like to work in manufacturing.
Okay, thank you, Leslie. We do actually have a couple of interesting questions here that I think would be great to touch on. And one is around the Delta V certification. Maybe hearing a little bit more about that, but also is there licensing that goes with Delta V? Is there a cloud-based version of it? Costs, and also is it accepted sort of nationally as a standard system?
So thank you. The Delta V system is an industry system. So it's actually all over the world. There's plenty of organizations and companies that use it. A lot of biotech and pharmaceutical companies use it. And also expect our technicians and maintenance technicians to utilize it during their work. The system itself is cloud-based, but it also can be pulled down to the local level of a company, and that allows it to keep it from being open sourced and provide an access for hackers. So you can have it as a closed system to a company or an open cloud-based system where information is fed through their cloud server. And the cost of this that we had on the licensing, we negotiated, it's like $25,000 a year for, I think it was 17 licenses, simultaneous use. You can use more as long as you stagger your classes.
So I have a sort of a related question. The credential that the students get, you said it was through North Carolina. Does that mean that other schools in North Carolina can offer the training and offer the credential?
The way we have it set up is just Johnston Community College has that current licensing, and we're going to create a course code because we have a community college system. We're going to create a course code that we can pull down and use locally for that purpose.
Okay.
So then in the future, it could be correlated to other states or other community colleges within North Carolina. You would just have to have a train the trainer session from an organization that sponsors Delta V or can teach it.
And then the other thing I thought would be interesting, because I'm not sure if the participants are familiar with the ATE program that you mentioned, that it was the new to ATE. It might be interesting to hear about, what is that, and how is that an opportunity for people to take on?
Absolutely. So the new to ATE grant funding source is one that is for new colleges that are interested in pursuing advanced technological education programming support. And usually these there's a cap on the upper end. I think it's around 300,000, but it's only for new colleges. So if you have a college that you know in your area or in your state that has yet to get one of these grants or scholarships, I guess you call them, yeah, it's a grant, then they could apply to it as a new to ATE member. And then, but once you use it within so many years, that is opportunity is no longer available to you. So you just have to keep that in mind. It's for new emerging colleges who want to get into NSF funding.
Great. Well, we do have to move on, but there are some more questions popping up about Delta V. So if you guys have more questions about that, you can reach out to Leslie, or you could reach out to the InnovATEBIO Center, and we can direct you to where you need to go. But we're going to move on now, and so Maggie Bryans from NBC2 is going to speak to you next.
Maggie, you may be muted. We can't hear you.
Oh, I must have double clicked it there. Thanks, Jim, for this opportunity to talk about NBC2. I feel like this is what we do at the PI meeting and the showcase sessions when we go around and talk about our projects to each other and find ways to collaborate. So this is a great idea. So I'm going to talk today about NBC2, the Northeast Biomanufacturing Centre and Collaborative. NBC2 is an ATE regional centre dedicated to the training of biomanufacturing technicians. And I'm Maggie Brines, I'm the principal investigator, and I direct the Biotechnology program at Montgomery County Community College, just outside Philadelphia in Bluebell, Pennsylvania. Next slide, please. So the current, so NBC2 has been funded actually since 2005. So this has been a group of individuals that have worked for a long time to develop curriculum and professional development for biomanufacturing. It was originally led by Dr. Sonia Wallman, and it came to Montgomery County Community College in 2009. So the current grant is building regional and national networks for a 21st century workforce for the bioeconomy. And next slide, please. And these are the partner colleges. So having these partners, these really great individuals that led NBC2 hubs in different areas of the country allowed us to have a national reach and a national impact. So the current round of funding started in 2015, and we're right now on a no-cost extension year. And there's 2 colleges involved now, and it's Montgomery, we're the lead institution, and Jim Hewlett is a co-PI in this grant at Finger Lakes Community College. Next slide, please. So the overarching goals of the NBC2 have been quite similar throughout its whole lifespan, and these are the goals for the current grant. So goal 1 is to form local and regional networks of community colleges, biomanufacturing industry, trade organizations and other local stakeholders to increase knowledge, recruitment, career path, and job placement. So basically stressing the importance of having your local industry involved, having our industry involved across the country when we're developing curriculum, when we're developing skill standards to design curriculum to train these technicians. We also mentor other colleges to establish these networks, to design programs and also in courses and implement our curriculum. Goal 2 is to develop an industry endorsed curriculum, and that's something that we've been doing since 2005. Developing textbooks, lab manuals, we have a biomanufacturing exam, and recently we've developed over the past 3 or so years curriculum modules based or focused on different areas of biomanufacturing that allow faculty to easily adopt upstream processing, downstream processing, stem cells, for example. And these contain protocols and SOPs and materials lists. Next slide, please. Goal 3 goes right along with the curriculum. So as we design this curriculum, we offer professional development opportunities for faculty. And these are in the form of mini Bioman conferences, 3-day workshops focusing on a single area of biomanufacturing, like stem cells or single-use upstream processing or MABs, for example. And we developed curriculum modules for those faculty who weren't able to attend the workshop so that they can adopt the curriculum as well. We also have workshops for high school teachers, high school students, and in this grant, we focused on developing career fairs for our own students at our colleges and disseminating that to others as well. Goal 4 has to be curate this curriculum, disseminate it on our website, and that's what we did in this round of funding. Our website at biomanufacturing.org has 15 different curriculum units that you can peruse for SOPs and batch records and lectures. Goal 5 was really to build sustainability into each of our goals and our grant outcomes, to build a curriculum that was relevant and current, that programs could adopt and really enhance their own sustainability and the recruitment and job placement of their students. Next slide, please. So this is our website. I encourage you to go, if you haven't already seen our website before. Under curriculum resources, you'll find the list of curriculum units. Next slide, please. And this is an example of one of those units, the Biomanufacture monoclonal antibodies. And this is something we've been working on for the past 2 years. Really, we think everything you would need to incorporate the production of monoclonal antibodies from mammalian cells and to put that into your program or course. Next slide, please. And this is the instructors portal. If you haven't already accessed this, this is where you'll find the curriculum modules, the biomanufacturing exam, and biomanufacturing data that we added this past year to help instructors teach in an online format. So I think I'll leave it there and see if there's any questions.
Thank you, Maggie. So here's a question I think might be useful for those that have current projects or are thinking about developing projects. How did you involve industry in the actual development of the curriculum? And how did that input get sort of into what was developed over the years with NBC2?
Good question, Jim. So so industry's been involved all along the way, and luckily, because we have those hubs, we really had a national presence for our industry representatives. So we brought them in to discuss scale standards, for example, way back in 2007, and then again in 2013. So again, the industry is evolving, so we have to make sure we stay, we move along with it, if you like. So we involved industry by really inviting industry partners, and many of those industry partners came from our own advisory board. So we all have an advisory board. We have members of the advisory board that are working in biomanufacturing industry, and they've already bought into the success of the program, and they were willing participants in the scale standards discussion and even recruited others for us. So we kind of started there. We developed the scale standards, and then we were developing the curriculum around the scale standards. And that happened at the hub level. So each of the hubs, as you saw on the slide, had some responsibility as far as curriculum development. For example, Sen-Young Lee at InnovATEBIO in Bloomington, his biomanufacturing partners are in the final fill finish part of the industry. So it was ideal for him to bring them in and help develop the curriculum. In fact, they wrote 3 textbook chapters. So they're the experts, they're the SMEs. So we recruited SMEs in different areas of the industry to help us design the curriculum that went along with that unit. Quality assurance, that was done, for example, with one of my advisory board members from Merck. They wrote the quality assurance chapter. And then they stayed with us as we developed the SOPs and the hands-on portion of the curriculum as well. So it was a bit of a national effort to bring together, you know, the best that we all had to develop these units.
And I think a somewhat related question would be, I think a lot of people would be interested in this as well who currently have projects or are thinking about projects. I mean, you've been at this for a very long time, and you've got a pretty incredible library of resources on this topic. And we all know that, you know, NSF doesn't like to fund things for the rest of our lives, right? So what's the plan for keeping this available to the education community beyond where we're getting, you know, funding to support that from the foundation?
Well, good question, Jim. So that goes along with sustainability, right? So we built this, and it should be sustained, and everybody agrees with that. And we have it archived at ATE Central, and my college is supportive of keeping this this website going as well. And we've also leveraged our experience with NBC2 to get funding from other sources, for example, NIIMBL. So we're moving forward and continuing with the writing textbook chapters with NIIMBL funding as well. But in addition to that, we have InnovATEBIO, we have the National Centre, who will start disseminating some of this material as well. So we really want to get it to as many people as possible. So we've got many options. We'll keep the MBC2 website going through my college. We have InnovATEBIO, where we'll transfer material to their website, and that's going to go for another 5 or so years. And we have ATE Central. So there'll be 3 different ways for people to access this material.
Great. Well, thank you again. We will, again, for everybody, that, you know, the idea of this rapid fire is that if you have further questions, you have the option of reaching directly out to the presenter, or reaching out to the center, and we can sort of, you know, accommodate those connections as well. So we're going to move on to Rob Hatherell, and he's going to talk about his project.
Okay, hi folks. So Jim, I think we'd be somewhere warm giving this panel if it weren't for COVID-19, right?
Maui.
Oh, okay. I'll wait for that. Okay, so I'm Rob Hatherell, and I'm a professor at Del Mar College. It's in Corpus Christi, Texas, the southern part. Daisy Jean is really the figurative PI. She came up with all the ideas on this grant, and the big driving force was the fact that we could just add 2 classes to the biotech program, and we could have a certificate in biomanufacturing. And there were so many jobs in the bio corridor of Texas that Daisy decided that that would be a good thing. This is our Jack Southard is our basically. He's the chair of the department, and he's going to be assisting with the curriculum part. And we also have partnered, you know, we really leveraged with this National Center for Therapeutic Manufacturing. For example, Susan Woodard, she's actually making the S1 domain spike protein. So if you need that, if you want to work on that, we can probably get you some of that. But it's part of the Texas A&M Engineering Experiment Station, or TEAS as they call it. This is just a picture of our basic campus, new campus that we're going to be moving to. This is not the way it's going to look. It's the artist rendition, but if you can give me the next slide, I guess you guys have to do it. Yeah. So we're basically a MSI and a HSI, founded in 1935. This is an artist rendition of the new campus we'll be moving to, which will house the biomanufacturing. It's on the 3rd floor. We have the whole 3rd floor of this building. And we have this nice water thing, and there's culinary arts over here. So we can walk down at lunch and have, we can have lunch down here from culinary arts. So it's going to be a STEM building. This entire building will be all STEM. And it's under construction. Obviously, 2022, we think we might move in. Next slide, please. And this just gives you a little background of our biotech program. We have some articulation agreements with the local Corpus Christi University, Texas A&M Corpus Christi, and another nearby city, Kingsville. And I just want to underline one thing. We do also have a really pretty strong undergraduate research program, and this is what our labs actually look like. We have these, we design these octagonal workstations, and the students work like they're working at a company, basically. And we've had a lot of good success with this. So we're hoping that while the certificate won't allow these students to really do troubleshooting, we're hoping that they'll have some troubleshooting background, and that they indeed can move up in the job classification with this background. This is a student with me at Berkeley Lab. This is on our campus, and this is another picture of the water feature on the new campus. Next slide, please. So then this is more of the TEAS, or the National Center for Therapeutic Manufacturing. And again, this is really a strength in this grant, because they have tons of equipment we could never get. And we have basically a 2-week course we're going to have, at least during the funding period, where the students will take online courses, and then they're going to go for 2 weeks to College Station and do a lot of hands-on things. So this is really going to jumpstart our program, because Daisy and I are also planning to go and get, training as well in this, because this is a new area for us. to be honest. Next slide. And then these are some of the activities currently there. I mentioned that they're producing the spike protein, and they're Susan, our project person there, is really busy making spike protein for everyone. She's sending it all over the place, but they also have a NIIMBL funded gene therapy training. They have a ton of stuff going on there. It's really a hub of biomanufacturing. Also locally, they have Fujifilm Dialsynth Biotech. It's in College Station. Well, I'll mention another one, but this company is kind of subcontracting a lot of the vaccine production. So this is all going to ramp up really quick, and talk about perfect timing for our program, because it's going to start next year. Well, yeah, next year, I guess our program will start. We'll go through curriculum committee and things like that. But it also, they instruct the master's biotechnology students, and they have some pretty interesting things. Next slide. This is the facility. So these are some of the regional biomanufacturing, so-called contract manufacturing organizations, or some people call them custom manufacturing organizations, CMOs. Lanja is south of Houston, and they can't get enough employees. I mean, they're literally out on the streets with these sandwich boards trying to get employees. They just can't get enough. So there's a real industry need across Texas. Fujifilm, I mentioned, was in College Station, and they are gearing up their facilities and hiring like crazy. This is another small little biotech company in College Station, and they are supposed to be launching their own vaccine, maybe the beginning of 2021. So this is going to explode as well. So we have just a huge inflection of job potential in Texas right now. And so it couldn't have come at a better time to get our manufacturing program going. Next slide, please. So these are some of the goals. And again, these are redundant with the outcomes, but we want to, of course, start this new curriculum for the certificate. We want to develop our labs so that we can at least support the curriculum that we need. We're going to probably focus on vaccinology, obviously, because that seems to be a big need in Texas, but the students will be broadly trained by this intensive 2-week, well, it's really 3 weeks when you think about it, because they're going to be doing online courses, and then they're going to be going to College Station and doing hands-on things right there for 2 weeks. We don't know what's going to happen on the weekend up there, but we'll have to wait and see. But anyways, we want this hands-on training, and this training program, I must mention, some of the local companies are contracting with Susan to put all their employees through it. So it's really well respected regionally with the industry. And so we think our students will have an advantage in getting some of these jobs if they have that training. Of course, we're going to also disseminate our materials through InnovATEBIO Bio and the regional ATE centers. And again, we're going to establish this advanced level 2 biomanufacturing certificate, and we're going to be providing development for educators as well. So if you can go to the next slide. These, again, are kind of redundant, but they're also a goal and an outcome. Obviously, the curriculum, we want to develop that as well, and we want to expose students to hands-on training, and we hope to, again, the last 2 things are just redundant. So let's go to the next slide. There's a lot of barriers. There is a fair commute between Del Mar College and Texas A&M College Station. So that distance alone is a barrier. And of course, there is this problem with the pandemic. We were slated to go, this past summer, but we're delaying that. We're going to get an automatic extension on our grant. It's not clear if we'll be able to go next summer. We'll have to wait and see. But we obviously have some supply chain issues, and communication with our industry partners who are also on this pandemic alert. So we have a number of barriers that we're anticipating, and some of these we can't do really anything about. Next slide. If I have enough time, I can slow, but these are some of the resources we're using. This great NBC squared laboratory manual. It's really like a lot of people had commented on this. This is really a great resource, Maggie. Thank you so much. And again, this is a picture of our future campus, and these are some of the other things. And if you have questions, Daisy and I can address those. Thank you.
So thanks, Rob. Yeah, there is a question. This is actually pretty interesting because I've heard this before. What proportion of your students that come into your program already have a four-year degree, a bachelor's degree? Do you have that idea?
What percentage? That's a question Daisy will have to answer. Go ahead, Daisy.
I can answer that. Hi, everyone. It's about 20 to 40%, depends on which semester.
Wow.
Yeah, I've heard that. I've heard that from other programs as well. I think that you get quite a high number.
Yes.
And then the other question, Daisy, maybe this is one for you as well. I mean, this looks like a pretty big investment in your program from your college. How do you guys keep your finger on the pulse of the demand, the job demand in your area of Texas? Like how do you keep track of that?
Well, are you asking about the locally in Corpus Christi area? What is the job demand in biomanufacturing?
Well, whatever your service area is, assuming that your students like to stay, somewhat local, right? If unless they don't, maybe they leave. But actually,
I mean, we haven't really started grant yet, but my plan is I'm gonna have to be choosy for the first 3 years to make sure that whoever signed up for the certificate is going to be willing to relocate at least to maybe nearby cities, Houston, San Antonio, Austin. I'm not going to encourage them to enroll into this program if they do not willing to even leave Corpus Christi. It's just fact that locally right now, we do not have a big biotech or biomanufacturing industry right now.
Well, thanks again, Daisy and Rob. We are going to move on, and our next presenter is Iso Bayala from Quincy College.
Hi, everyone. My name is Iso Bayala. I'm from Massachusetts, here at Quincy College. I'm presenting on this project because I'm between changes. The chair of the program has officially retired, and there is a new chair, but he's not familiar with what we've been doing. So I'm doing that for now. Next slide, please. So these are the list of some of our industry partners. So these are people involved in the training we do to get them people to work. They're all interested in hiring people who have hands-on, and that's exactly what we do, because these companies have been used, they have contributed in the development of our curricula. So what we do is exactly what they need so that they don't have to train too much when they get to the employees. The other aspect is the good manufacturing practice. So we also use a large amount of the courses to teach students how to comply with the good manufacturing practice because of these regulations regulation put in place by governments. So they are very well aware of documentation, labeling, gowning. They do gowning during one of the courses we do here called Biomanufacturing 2. And next slide, please. So we have two programs. So one is about 2 years for student. It's an associate degree program. And the second one is a certificate program that's about 9 to 10 months. The certificate program is usually for people who want to change career or people who came from other countries and they just want a job. So they finish the program and they get a job. Most of them get a job right away. The other one, the associate, the degree program is for students. That one was designed essentially for high school students, so that they can have that and transfer the credit to a 4-year program. So the two have been going on. In terms of jobs, when it doesn't really matter whether you have associate or certificate, the salaries are almost the same. The advantage with the 2-year program, the 2-year degree is the credit they earn and they can transfer them to a 4-year program. Next slide, please. So this is some of our labs. So we are specialized in the single-use systems. So we use a lot of single-use software, hardware, equipment from GE, Millipore, and other companies. We also do the traditional biomanufacturing. On the screen on the left, you see the Applicon bioreactor. We use it to produce proteins with bacteria. And single-use systems, we use them for production of protein in mammalian cells. The other thing is we have developed a virtual manufacturing program. So that helps students to learn the manufacturing in a GMP, in a regulated environment. So they actually can operate virtually in a bioreactor. And they can count cells using hemacytometer. They can work in a biosafety cabinet using the virtual program. And they can do it from home using their laptop or their cell phones. So that's prepared them actually well. And so when they come to class, and it's easy to go from virtual to real practice. And so they can have quickly hands-on and get to use the equipment. Industry also has shown some interest to the virtual manufacturing. Some companies have been using it to train their employees. And it's free because it has been funded by the Department of Labor. So it's a free access. Anyone who is interested, I can send them the link and they can access, and they can also let the student use it. So for the job placement, we have almost 100% for people who complete the program. Even now, even with the virus, the demand for workers is very, very high, and we can't even supply the companies with workers. They've been asking every day if we have people for them. So that's very good news. Next slide, please. So this is on the right, it's the Applicon bioreactor. Students use that to learn how to reuse an equipment. So how to take it apart, assemble, how to cleave it, validate it, and use it, like the stainless steel bioreactor in the industry. And on the left side is the single-use biomanufacturing. We use that to train them how to load the bag, operate the software, and how flexible it is using the single-use systems. So prevent the turnaround time is shorter. Is to minimize contamination. It's also flexible. So these are three of the biomanufacturing courses, 1, 2, and 3. And we have a course called Introduction to Biotechnology that most students take before they decide whether they really like the program or not. Next slide, please. Yes, this is the virtual biomanufacturing program. So see, to log in, you can use any email address. You can use your Yahoo, your college email, or you can use Gmail. The password is QCBTC, just small letters. And you can just get in. And I can send a link, and anyone who wants can access. And on the left, for example, at the bottom, you can see this is a cell count using hematometer. I know in industry, they use a lot of automated cell count machines, but sometimes when the machine breaks down, they don't find anybody who knows how to use the hematometer. That was my experience when I was a student and working in manufacturing. On the right side, in the middle of the screen at the bottom, that's a single-use bioreactor that industry uses. Actually, this GE here in Massachusetts, they manufacture the single-use bioreactors here. And we send a student when, not during normal times. So this year we didn't, but we do have industry tours. So where we send take students to industry and then look at it and talk to the companies to make sure what they are learning is the real thing. So that's what we've been doing. Next slide, please. So we also have a short courses. These industry people or people who want to change career or people on unemployment can sign up for those courses. They go from 3 days to few weeks, 2-3 weeks, to learn some of the equipment. For example, the ACTA is very popular for protein purification. Some people come and they take the training and they go back to work. Some companies send the employees to come to learn because they purchase the ACTA and they don't have anybody who knows how to run it. So we get some of them here to learn how to run them. We have also the GC and the HPLC, which are very powerful tools for quality control. And so we have people as well who come and learn it. One company here in Massachusetts, because marijuana is illegal, so they want to test the quality of the marijuana. And they are interested in sending people to come and learn how to use the gas chromatograph. Next slide, please. So these recently, together with Maggie and the other colleges, we got a NIIMBL grant to develop a standard training program, curriculum, and that can be used in manufacturing. So this grant has just started. We had a kickoff meeting last week, and we're gonna start very soon working on the skills needed to develop a training program that for entry-level positions. Next slide, please. So for the program, we already have, these are some of the equipment and supplies we're gonna need for biomanufacturing, especially when we are trying to transition to the gene therapy training and develop a course for gene and cell therapy training. So these are some of the equipment and supplies we're gonna need to purchase. We already have the way bag, we don't have the ATF, which is sold here by a company called Repligen. And we have a tissue culture room that we're trying to set up. We have a state grant. Massachusetts gave us a grant to build a tissue culture room where we have 4 biosafety cabinets, and we're going to use that for the training and also for training of student Incumbent, also for industry professionals. Next slide, please. We had an NSF grant to develop training. So we have 2 grants. One is NSF, another one is a state grant. So we're going to use that to develop a training and create a curriculum in cell and gene therapy. For the NIIMBL grant, also, we're going to use the NIIMBL grant to purchase some of the equipment and hold some workshops to train people in this with cell and gene therapy skills. So we have most of the equipment needed for that. So what we have done so far is we have participated in industry meetings, and we asked those companies to help us define the skills they need if we were to develop a gene cell therapy course. So on the left, on the screen left, some of the companies that are heavily involved, very interested in working with us to develop a curriculum and train students together and other people in that area. In Massachusetts, for example, we have new companies coming in, and the companies that exist already are building new facilities to create vaccines and to manufacture in the gene and cell therapy area. So they actually, the biggest worry is they won't have enough people to work there. So they rely on community colleges, especially on our program, to train people. The problem is they can get students who finish a program to do research, but for manufacturing, the students need to be trained again. And when they get them from our program, they are easy to train and they are ready to go because they are familiar with most of the equipment they use in the industry. And they are also familiar with the regulations, so which is a big plus. That's why they are mostly interested in our program.
So Issa, I think we have time for one question. The nice thing is that we've had a bunch of questions come in, and then we've had other participants answer them. So a lot of the questions were answered for you, so you don't have to worry about it, which is great. But the one I had, just one question is, way back in the beginning, you mentioned that you had your industry partners actually participate or have input into in the design of your curriculum. What did that look like when that was happening? How did that come about?
Oh, what we did is we just invited them to the college, and we had a discussion, and we asked them what we need to do to train people that they're going to hire. And what they said in the first place at the beginning is that usually they get people from colleges, they don't have the skill needed. They know the theory, they just don't have the hands-on. So if we have to do something to have students who are familiar with industry equipment. So that was the discussion. And we had people from different areas like manufacturing, cell culture, quality control, environmental monitoring. So they all came and they suggested what we could do. And based on the equipment we have, we developed the training and we send it back to them. And they review it, and that's how, then before we send it to the curriculum committee to our, at our college here to get approved.
Great. Well, thank you very much. So in the spirit of the 5 for 5, we are going to shift. We've been very heavily bio. We're going to shift a little bit and move closer to chemistry, but still has the bio connection, with Aaron Sochos. Aaron was at Bronx Community College, and has moved to North Carolina, but is going to talk about a project that is still there, but that started while he was still there. So take it away, Aaron.
Thanks, Jim. And thanks everyone for hanging in there for the last presentation. I'm putting my email in the chat here because I realized I left it off the slides. I'm Aaron Socha. I'm here at Queens College in North Carolina, Charlotte. I'm the co-PI along with these other listed names below mine here on the Bronx Community College's ATE 1601-636 project. If you Google that, you'll find the formal project description. The PI, Therese Susraj, is also on the call today. She sits in the Bronx. You can see that we're a hodgepodge of chemists, chemical engineers, and one biologist. So as Jim said, we're not as bio heavy as the rest of the talks today, but I'll give you a gist of what we've been trying to do over the past 5 years with our what we call our CBETS project. Can you flip the slide, please? Thanks. So the project essentially revolves around this diagram, if you will, where we take renewable feedstocks, typically plants, and grind them up, often using some solvents or some temperature, pressure, pretreatment methods. We make fermentable sugars. And when I say fermentation, I'm not strictly referring to anaerobic. I'm just talking about any type of microbial growth from those sugars. And then we are after small molecules that can be used as bioproducts, biofuels, even medicines if the students show interest in that aspect of the project. So we're really kind of different in the sense that we have small molecule bioproduction, if you will, and then we try to incorporate some aspects of sustainability and entrepreneurship into all of our projects, because we like to think of them as being scaled up to the fuel scale, in which case you have to consider all of the inputs and outputs in sort of a life cycle analysis. So that's the sort of general idea of the project. Our goals are the bullets on the left here, starting with curriculum development that was aligned with both student surveys and industry demand in the Bronx area. The courses that we made, I'm not going to get into the detail, the detail of the curriculum during this presentation, but I've put 3 slides at the end of the presentation, and I could also send you the sorted list of industry selected topics or skill sets that we gained from our industrial advisory board over the first 2 years of the project. So if you're interested in that, please just reach out to us. One of the big issues for all starting up ATE projects is to get students into the program. So we started up a high school recruitment STEM course that at CUNY, or the City University of New York, it's called College Now. So it was an established program, but we built some new courses into it, and really were able to use that to pilot our labs and to recruit students for the program. And in the past couple of years, after we passed the courses through the CUNY Curriculum Committee, we've been holding these training workshops that we invite students to, but they're really to transfer knowledge between chemists, engineers, and biologists. So typically, and even sort of environmental science people, if you will, because we have some GIS expertise both here at Queens and up at the Bronx. So we host these 1-week workshops, typically during a spring break or a week or so in the summer, where faculty can learn from other faculty in different disciplines. And I think one of the outcomes that I'm most proud of that didn't necessarily make it into the original proposal, but it's been one of the most successful ways to train students for both jobs and technically and soft skills, which were both identified by our IAB as being really important, was to just have them really kind of craft their own research project and then present it in various forms, either in presentations or posters or even some student papers. And I've got a list of the papers that we've published in the last slide here. So maybe shift forward a slide, please. Thank you. So our big challenge getting the program off the ground was to know our audience. So in the original NSF proposal plan, we proposed to make another AAS degree within the Bronx Community College that was going to be a lot like the previous two ATE awards at Bronx Community College, one for pharmaceutical manufacturing and another in the physics department for something to do with HVAC and servicing building technology systems. But we did, you know, as the NSF I-Corps would call customer discovery, or really sort of figuring out what our students wanted. And we ran a bunch of surveys in our incoming chemistry students, and before and after the general and organic chemistry courses, we asked them questions like, what are you studying chemistry for? What are your goals? Or kind of the questions that you see on the bottom right. And the majority of the students got back to us with basically, I'm here at Bronx Community College for an AS degree that I can transfer to get a BS degree because I want to go to medical school, because I want to be in the medical field, and I'm not that interested in being a technician. I want to, you know, really go up in the academic, you know, I want to move on in my academic career. I think that's because a lot of the students were first generation or are first generation, and that's what their families told them is the most important thing to do, as opposed to, say, get a job in a biotech company and work your way up that way. So we didn't really find a fit for traditional ATE technician training, but we kind of embedded that these skills from our board into the curriculum, the existing associate's degree program at BCC. So we ended up making new courses within the departments of chemistry, biology, and physics that were cross-listed. So the students could take them, they'd of course get credit at BCC, but then they could transfer those courses to CUNY four-year schools and have them count as their core curriculum courses. And that really worked to make the both the curriculum committee approve of the courses, but the students you know, enroll for the courses. So next slide, please. Here's some just a little bit of data and a photo from our I think this was our second or third College Now summer program. So this is a all-day class that runs for 8 weeks in the summer. So we have a lecture in the morning, a lab in the afternoon. These are high school students who are interested in STEM already, and they just needed a little bit of polishing with things like Excel skills and soft skills, unit conversions, and then of course introduction to hands-on training, both with pressure reactors and bioreactors. And we surveyed them again before and after the course, and you can see the dramatic improvement in the post scores for things like confidence and Excel skills and general knowledge around the topics we were teaching. So again, we more or less exploited this established summer program to build a new course that allowed us to demo labs and even pilot entire courses in the morning lecturing, and then allowing them to sit at the computer and work on their Excel skills, and in the afternoon working in the lab. We were building confident scientists and working with engineers to really streamline the process was helpful. We found as chemists who tend to get bogged down in the minutia a little bit. So we also found that taking them on a field trip was really useful to allow them to understand what scientists do, and encourage them to transfer into chemical engineering at City College, which was and still is being a successful path for some of the BCC AS chemistry students, because one of the courses that we created is a first-year chemical engineering course, so that doesn't necessarily count towards the bachelor's degree in chemical engineering, but it certainly preps them on things like mass and energy balance and separations and things that are beyond the scope of the typical chemistry course. So here they are sitting at the 59th Street steam power plant, understanding proper PPE and really getting a firsthand look at how chemical engineers work in New York City. Next slide, please. So, oh, thanks, Jim. Yeah, I talked to somebody about Biomanufacture the other day. I just saw your chat there. It's quite exciting. It's sponsored. Is that the one that's sponsored by the Department of Defense, which was kind of a strange sponsorship for them? Yeah, that's the one. Good stuff for sure. Yeah, I should mention too, a lot of this curriculum is new in the sense that it's researched at places like University of Wisconsin-Madison and Berkeley's Joint Bioenergy Institute in Oak Ridge, down here in Tennessee area, but it's not really taught very much. So a lot of the curriculum I made up after working as a scientist at the Joint Bioenergy Institute. And then since then we've had success in Berkeley has helped us to post some of the course materials because they have a much broader viewership for this type of information, and so they were able to disseminate our stuff a little bit better. So anyway, here's just some pictures of what our workshops are for students and faculty. So we did one on biodiesel feedstock availability using GIS within a mile of the Bronx Community College campus, and had students map routes for delivery and pickup and quantify that with traffic and volumes of used cooking oil, and really kind of put layers of data into a GIS map. We've done we've actually borrowed a lot from City College when it comes to chemical engineering, because they have been doing it for quite some time, and they have really nice safe tank setups. Yeah, Peter Matlock I spoke to yesterday on the phone, so that's the guy. The tank reactor you see here is a 5-liter tanks that we have the students build and epoxy and set up the stirring and program the delivery of fluids and solids, and watch the pH change as an antacid transfers its mass into the solution. And all of the stuff is totally benign. It can all go down the drain, so they can get a sense of what it means to work at scale without having to spend your entire ATE budget on remediating the lab waste. And then the third workshop that's a little bit more related to bio is to really watch this bio-based glucose go into some type of a small molecule product. We used isoprene as a test case that worked pretty well. It's a half of a monoterpene, so it's a isoprene alcohol that is produced pretty efficiently in E. coli and yeast, and now a few other organisms like Rhodosporidium and Pseudomonas putida. And we teach the students essentially the thermodynamic, if you will, value of the product based on the reduction efficiency of the biological pathway. And so we can quantify the theoretical yield, and we teach them how to do that. And so if they have a molecule that's say C10H20O5, you can use that molecular formula to calculate the theoretical yield of the product, and then we can move that back into the price and the value, and get them thinking more about the entrepreneurial aspects of biomanufacturing. So I think that's pretty much all I have. You can flip ahead. This is a slide. Oh, okay. So yeah, I'll throw these up there. These are all student published papers in the past 5 years. So we're happy to report that these guys who were first or second author on these papers are all working in the industry now. And the fourth paper on the list here is the first pedagogical paper to come from this project. So this was talking about how faculty from 3 different departments at Bronx Community College could use a CO2 metric life cycle analysis to study a common consumer product. And the students did life cycle analyses, and we interwove that with concepts of environmentalism and sustainability, and even just basic unit conversion and things like that. I saw something in the chat about ethanol, and I'm actually really curious to be into this topic. No, I'm just kidding. But are they making ethanol? Yeah, I didn't mention that. I certainly want to say that we are making ethanol in our bioreactors using this thing called turbo yeast. So it makes something like 11 or 12% of by volume of ethanol. It's pretty resistant to ethanol toxicity, and it does it in 24 hours. So we bought it from the brewery store, and we will typically do overnight experiments with that, where we can say, make ethanol under various sugar limitation, or sugar that we've derived from different types of plants, or sugar that maybe has residual solvent in it from our sloppy pretreatment, or whatever the case may be. But it allows for pretty rapid experiments, and you can distill off some of the ethanol too. We can't quite get it over 40%, but it's enough for the concept. It's not hand sanitizer. I think you need to be about 70%. We've definitely made a lot of biodiesel as well, and we do. We haven't put it in the bomb calorimeter, mainly because I don't want to get it all greasy and have to clean it and all that stuff. But we did make a neat lab with our bomb reactor, where we're making flavonoids from some cheap precursors using just subcritical water. So if you heat water to about 250 C, the equilibrium shifts, and so you get both an acid and base catalyst from the resulting hydroxide and proton ions that are formed at like 4 logs higher than the standard 1 times 10 to the negative 14 equilibrium constant. So anyway, so we're doing really neat sort of water catalyzed reactions at high pressure, high temperature, and all that really came from talking to these really bright chemical engineers that are our co-PIs. And so I guess the next few slides are just lists of our like the learning outcomes of our courses, but I won't get into those in great detail. I'll just close with thanking you, and also saying that if you are curious to get into a kind of break out of the mold of biotech, and get into either small molecules or chemical engineering. People are typically willing to help because they want good 2-year students coming into their 4-year program. So partnering with somebody at a 4-year college can help you. And they're also going to have a lot of curriculum already developed. I have my, if you can see my camera, this is the pretty thin, textbook that we used for our intro to chemical engineering course. And it's what every department uses, but it's just something you wouldn't think of as a chemist, right? So really sort of making those partnerships is critical for success. So that's all from me. Thanks again.
Thanks, Aaron. So that people can maybe go enjoy the holiday if this is the last bit of your semester. I know today is our last day, and it's a Friday afternoon, and I think we're in the middle of some pandemic. We'll try to sort of focus maybe 1 or 2 questions to the panel as a whole, and then you guys can decide, who wants to tackle it. So if any of you have sort of a general question that you'd like to get, out to this panel that we had today, please put it in the chat. I have one, and maybe this is the only one. Maybe we end with this. And this probably could take an hour, but maybe we can do it in 5 minutes. So the industries that are being targeted by these projects clearly have technologies and processes that change very rapidly. So do you have any advice for the participants on how to sort of track that, how to keep track of that, and how to make sure that those innovations, those changes get built back into the curriculum as sort of this iterative process of making sure you're staying relevant and contemporary? And anybody can take a shot at that. I don't want to pick on somebody.
I would just quickly add again, using your program advisory board, they're just a really great insight into what local industry is doing. One of the challenges of keeping current, though, is the equipment that you need. So then you have to write maybe an ATE grant to get that equipment and have a great plan to how you're going to implement the curriculum. So that can be a barrier, is getting the funds for the equipment you need to stay up to date, for biotechnology, single-use technology, that type of thing. But I find my advisory board are a great way of keeping current.
I just want to add that the other thing you could do is having instructor from industry come and teach some of the courses. So that way, if you want something for industry, it's easy to get it. You just go through them.
All right, well, unless anybody else, well, even if you did have further questions, a lot of things that just you should know that these things get recorded, they get archived. You'll have access to these. You clearly have access to everybody that's that's on the panel. You can reach out to them. I want to thank everybody for coming. I know it's late in the academic year. People I know are tired and coming to this first one. And I want to thank our presenters. They were all fantastic. And on behalf of InnovATEBIO, thanks again. And I just want to wish everybody happy holidays, and hopefully they can find some way to get some rest and recovery from a whole bunch of stuff that I know that made 2020 not so fun. So again, please reach out to the center if you have any questions, or if you want us to do make some connections for you. And hopefully we will see you on the next 5 for 5 webinar in the coming year. So thanks again, everybody.
Thanks, Jim.
Thanks, Jim.
Hey, thanks, Jim.